Hello and welcome to Kidney Plugged In. Today we introduce you to Chief Michael Recalma of Qualicum First Nation as he shares with us his journey with kidney disease, what the disease has taught him, and his hopes for brighter days ahead. We have an inspirational show that you won't want to miss, so please stay with us because it's coming up next, right here on Kidney Plugged In.
1 in 10 Canadians has kidney disease, and that equates to about 4 million people in this country. Add to that are millions more who are at risk. Over the last 20 years, the number of Canadians treated for kidney disease has doubled. Kidney disease has no cure, and the treatment for kidney failure is either dialysis or a kidney transplant. However, the demand for organs far outweighs the supply, and thousands of Canadians are currently on a transplant wait list. 80% of those are waiting for a kidney. And Canada ranks 18th in the world for organ donation rates. And as a result, 5 Canadians die per week waiting for a kidney transplant. Kidney disease affects every aspect of a patient's life. This disease is not for the faint of heart. The journey can be long and grueling and filled with many challenges. But when people are diagnosed early, they can often make diet and lifestyle changes to help maintain their kidney function and possibly avoid the life-threatening diagnosis of end-stage kidney failure. However, most people don't even know they have this disease until it's too late, and that's because the symptoms are often silent. Kidney disease can affect anyone at any age. Risk factors include diabetes, high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease, a family history of the disease, and certain ethnicities are at higher risk, including Asian, South Asian, African, and Indigenous peoples. In fact, estimates show that up to 50% of Indigenous people have kidney disease. Elected Chief Michael Recalma of the Qualicum First Nation in BC is one of those people. I joined the Chief and his wife Sharon at the beautiful Qualicum First Nation Campground to learn more about his story, what this disease has taught him, and his hope for brighter days ahead. The Chief opened our conversation with an acknowledgement of the traditional territory we were on.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Michael Recalma. I'm the elected Chief of the Qualicum First Nation. I would like to welcome you to the unceded territory of the Qualicum First Nation and welcome you to my territory. Thank you very much.
Chief Recalma has served as Chief of the Qualicum First Nation for 6 years. He has an extremely busy day job which he describes as controlled chaos. In his role as elected Chief, he must manage and administer programs and services such as housing, employment, daycare, and he also manages the campground where we met for the interview. The Chief is both the caretaker of the people and the culture of the Qualicum First Nation. As we spoke, I could see the passion and the dedication he has for his work. And so when I asked him when he first knew something was wrong with his health, he told me that even though he'd felt unwell for a couple of weeks, he thought it was just the flu. And he continued to focus on his responsibilities as Chief. But because of a promise he made to his wife, he finally went to the local healthcare center to get checked out.
My deal with my wife that morning was, if I still felt as bad as I did the day before, I agreed to go to our community nurse. And when the nurse took my blood pressure, I found out much later that it was through the roof. And so she just pointed her little finger at me and said, "No more talking." And then I started talking, she pointed again, she goes, "I said no talking." And Sharon, I remember Sharon putting her hand on mine saying, "I think you better be quiet." And I found out much later that when your blood pressure is that high, you can have a stroke quite easily. And the ambulance was on the way, then it was off to Nanaimo, and then to emergency. And from there, the diagnosis was made that, there's something wrong, horribly wrong with your kidneys.
Due to extremely high blood pressure, the Chief was taken to a local hospital, only soon to hear the shocking news that he did not have the flu.
I was told that I was going for an operation. They were going to insert a tube into my chest for the dialysis. And okay, you just accept that you're in their care. Yeah. I went from there right to the dialysis ward in NRGH and started my first round of dialysis.
Yeah, we were pretty terrified because they still didn't know at that point what was causing the kidney failure. And so we didn't know what the end prognosis was going to be.
Chief Recalma was then transferred from Vancouver Island to downtown Vancouver and admitted to St. Paul's Hospital, where in a race against time, doctors tried to save his kidneys, but sadly, it was too late. His kidney function was too low and too much damage had already occurred. The chief would now need dialysis until he can get a kidney transplant. While in the hospital digesting this news, the chief then faced another devastating and unexpected complication.
While I was in St. Paul's, the one thing that still makes people wonder, I lost my vision. I went blind. Okay, very scary.
Eventually, after many visits with specialists, the chief's sight did start to return to normal. But it remains a mystery as to what caused his blindness. He was then diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, which thankfully has also improved with time. His journey thus far has not been an easy one, and this was acknowledged by his own doctor.
The doctor in Nanaimo goes, "Michael, you're my unicorn. You know, if anything's gonna go wrong, it's gonna happen to you." And it did. But my vision came back. And so, I mean, here I am now, right? But it was a very, very scary time to lose your sight. I mean, I'm going through the dialysis and now I can't see. I'm in a pickle here.
Once back home in Qualicum, the chief settled into his dialysis regimen, which he has been doing now for the past 2 years. But while dialysis is keeping him alive, it is not an easy treatment to endure, and it can really affect the quality of one's life.
It was told to me by a nurse. She said, think about your kidneys, Michael, all day, all night, what they do for you. And she goes, what we're doing to you in 4 hours, your kidneys do all day and all night. Because I would come out of there exhausted. I was just beat. But that was why. I couldn't understand it, why I felt like this. Like, why am I I'm just lying here in a bed for 4 hours. Why am I so tired? And why am I just so exhausted? Because that's when she said it's 4 hours of kidney work, cleaning your blood.
Coming up next, the chief talks about honoring his traditions.
Hey, honey, I lost the list for Jason's birthday thing. Obviously, hamburger, cakes. No, not hamburger cakes. Hamburgers and cake. And buns, sausage.
Talking! Ooh, eye candy.
Is it a full moon tonight? People are being weird. And don't forget to make the Facebook event private this time. Okay, bye.
Can you imagine losing most of something without realizing it? Over time, kidney disease can destroy up to 80% of kidney function before you notice any symptoms. Talk to your family doctor to see if you're at risk and need to be screened. It could save your life.
As the chief and I talked more about his journey with dialysis, he shared with me a special tradition from his own culture that helped bring closure to a chapter in his life.
One thing we do from a cultural point of view is when serious things happen in our lives, as in hemodialysis period, I was told by my nurses to wear the same shirt, the same t-shirt, the same trousers, the same shoes, which is fine because they weigh you. But when you're done with that portion of your life or that chapter of your life, you're supposed to bring your clothes. Because then you are done with hemodialysis. The line is taken out of my chest, and now it's time to burn them, to give them back to the Creator, whomever, but you're done. It's time to go on, close that chapter, move on to the next one. When one is destroying one's clothes, like in that instance, you have 5 people with you. You have one person to represent each corner, each direction, north, east, west, and south, and you have somebody else to literally put the clothes in the fire. So you have 5 individuals, and my individuals were all ladies. That meant something to me.
What many people don't realize is there are 2 types of dialysis treatments, hemodialysis and peritoneal dialysis, or as many call it, PD. The Chief began his journey with in-center hemodialysis, and this is where he traveled to a clinic 4 days a week, and a healthcare provider would hook him up to a dialysis machine, and he would do his dialysis in-center for 4 hours at a time. But with the right training and the right equipment, you can actually do dialysis from the comfort of your own home. But you had to get training. I think you both went.
We both went for training.
You went for training.
In the hospital.
In the hospital.
We had a nurse come in twice to the house, because they're in the hospital, they just throw so much information at you that you're kind of going, I'm full. And so just, it was almost like a refresher course with her. And it was after 2 visits in the evening, piece of cake.
I didn't actually hook up his machine for probably 4 months. So the first time I did it, because he was not feeling good, I panicked because I couldn't remember anything.
And I'm sick, and so I'm just
he's yelling at me because I'm doing it wrong.
But there's always someone, if something goes wrong,
there's a number to call, and you have a manual, so all you have to do is take a deep breath, pull out the manual, and look at the pictures. It's really straightforward.
When all else fails, yes.
Yeah, and just do it one step at a time. Don't get ahead of yourself.
Kidney patients work with their healthcare team to determine which treatment choices make the most sense for their own situation. The Chief is now doing automated peritoneal dialysis and uses a cycler to drain the cleaning fluid for him. Before starting peritoneal dialysis, both Chief Michael Recalma and his wife Sharon received a week of training at the dialysis clinic. This was followed by a visit by the nurse to their house to do a bit of a refresher course, as the Chief says. Armed with easy-to-follow manuals, a number to call if they have any questions, and a machine or cycler that literally beeps when anything goes wrong. In his own words, the Chief told us this was a piece of cake. Not to mention, of course, all the benefits from doing dialysis at home. Being able to do the dialysis from the comfort of your home, has that made it easier?
You know, I could almost say I'm refreshed, because of course I tell people it's like a car. You plug yourself in at night and you wake up and you're ready to go. And it's nice to do that. And the machine has alarms in it, so that if I roll over the wrong side or something, it tells me. And if I've not opened up one of the bags, it tells me. You know, it's very user-friendly.
Our conversation eventually gravitated towards something that is on everyone's mind these days, the global pandemic. For kidney patients, they are among those vulnerable populations who are at greater risk from getting severe complications from COVID-19. For some, this has meant increased fear about contracting the virus, but it has also meant increased loneliness from the isolation. For the Chief and his wife Sharon, they both admitted they are managing well and staying close to home. And like all of us, adjusting the best they can to what we now all call the new normal. One change, however, that they had to work through was how to manage a change in the delivery of their dialysis materials as a result of COVID-19. As the Chief explained, he gets about 35 to 40 boxes delivered to his house on a monthly basis. But the question now became, how was he going to get the boxes from the delivery truck into his house?
One big thing that changed was my Baxter deliveries. He never came in my house anymore. So being a small community was you just grab kids, for lack of better words, and they were more than willing to help move them. You know, they brought them in, they put them on the trolley, they sometimes stacked them up in the room. And
this is where it's good to be Chief, right?
it doesn't hurt.
It's good to be an elder.
An old duck.
Yeah.
While the Chief does not know exactly how long he will be on dialysis, what he does know is that he'll be on dialysis until he gets a kidney transplant. And hopefully that is sooner rather than later. A kidney transplant is generally considered the best treatment for most people with kidney failure. The advantages include a better quality of life with fewer limitations than dialysis. Chief Recalma is on the transplant waitlist for a cadaveric or deceased donor, but it can often take several years before a kidney becomes available. And so his doctor also advised he explore living kidney donation, reach out to his family, to his network to see if anyone might be a match.
My immediate family, brothers and sisters, all got themselves checked for the blood type because you need to match your blood type. See, I thought it was they had to have O positive, which is what I am. But my nephrologist in St. Paul's goes, no, you just need an O. The pitfall of being an O or an O positive is we are primarily donors, not recipients. The clock is ticking, but you've got to wait. You literally just got to wait your turn unless you find your own living donor. And that can be obviously be a bit of a problem. My nephrologist, when we spoke to him in St. Paul's, he goes, well, go to the media. So what is my first step? Here. It just worked out like that and it's perfect.
Kidney disease, like any disease, can take a toll both physically and emotionally on the patient and their loved ones. This is where the support system comes in. Chief Recalma talks about the people in his life who have rallied around him, including his wife, their son Francis and his fiancée Tiffany, the community, and those he works with.
Your staff in particular will look out for you.
I'm laughing and smiling because everybody's been very supportive of my staff, more so, because they're my first point of contact every morning. And they kind of give me the once over twice. And if I look really jagged around the edges, they will either send me home, and if I don't go home, they have no trouble phoning Sharon saying, come and get him. You know, he's not listening. The counselors are ladies, and the staff in the office are all ladies, but they're mothers too. So they know they're going, you know, you're going home. You're not well.
I reflected on the chief's words because, of course, as chief, he is always carrying around the enormous responsibility as caretaker of his people. And now as he battles kidney disease himself, things have a way of coming full circle. The community, his staff, and his people are now all caring for him. But in addition to all the people that have all rallied around the chief, there's another very special group of belly dancers that have really jumped up and come to the huge support, both to the chief and to his wife, Sharon.
You've seen the belly dancers. They're part of my journey, as well helping me along with Bellas and Fellas for the walk last year, for the kidney walk in Nanaimo, and they performed there.
Just danced our way for the 2 kilometers.
They were with me. I know I couldn't do the full 2K, but they're with me, and I admire them for looking after Sharon. I mean, just because they're supporting me, they are, but they're also in Sharon's life, which is, again, it's very important because, you know, I've told people quite happily that Sharon's my caregiver. Say what you like. Without her, I don't know, diet, looking after myself, the whole thing, the whole journey is 2 of us do it.
I noticed in our discussion how often the chief mentioned his wife Sharon and how he could not do it without her. She means so many things in his life, and now she is his caregiver. The importance of this caregiver role cannot be overstated. And so I asked Sharon, the co-pilot on this journey, how all of this has impacted her or even changed her life.
Yeah, it's definitely changed, and it's been, I don't want to say difficult, but it's had its moments, the ups and downs. But I have a good support system. Michael's family, my family, my belly dancing family, and I also do silk painting, and those women are also very supportive of me. I think we've become closer, and we've been together for 35 years? Yep. But when you start taking these different paths, you either have to separate or you come closer. And so yeah, I think it's made us a little bit closer.
We've got more coming up with the chief's journey with kidney disease.
Let's see, so kidney is these are my grandpa's kidney stones. They're very precious. Kidney is a bone in your back that helps you turn.
I don't know, to be honest.
They don't know kidneys are vital, do you? Get the facts at kidney.ca.
I couldn't help but notice that the chief was holding a feather throughout the course of our conversation. And so I just had to ask him what the significance of this feather was. And here's what he said.
Eagle feathers are very powerful to us. The eagle's a very powerful bird. And this particular feather was presented to me by the now mayor of Qualicum Beach. And so I had a meeting with him yesterday, and I advised him that I was going to bring this to my interview today. And if he had said no, I would not have done it, because this came from his mother to him and to me. So again, we talk about a support group. Mine's very, very big.
Many Indigenous people subscribe to the idea of a creator. After being diagnosed with kidney disease, the chief said that he spent much time self-reflecting and asking his creator, why had this happened to him? And most importantly, what was he to learn from all of this?
When I was on hemodialysis the first time around, I went down the beach, because that's where we kind of seek resolution about questions. My question to the creator was, what did I do to deserve this? What have I missed in my life? Well, there's got to be a lesson here somewhere that I've still missed, because I still don't understand why this happened to me and why it is happening to me. It was a while later that I realized the lesson I missed. Trust people. Trusting. Put your faith in them. That's what I missed. And it was because now my life had changed, and I've got to trust so many people, but I did, and I still do. My faith is in them.
As our interview was coming to a close, I asked both the chief and his wife Sharon for a few words of advice for others who may find themselves in similar situations.
You both learned a lot on this journey, haven't you? Like, I mean, you've learned about kidney disease and what it means to be well and what it means to be sick, but are there other things maybe even that you would say, I mean, we talked about a connection earlier, other things that maybe have struck you or even surprised you?
One thing that's really important is to be aware. Diabetics should be more careful, but even people should be careful as well.
Keep your sense of humor.
That's important.
And find laughter in things that, would normally upset you. Or when Michael was in St. Paul's, they had these he hadn't had a shower, hadn't been cleaned up. And we couldn't because of all the tubes or whatever that were coming out of him. But they had these goofy hats for washing your hair. I don't know if you've ever seen them, but you heat them up in the microwave and then you put them on your head and the shampoo comes out, and we couldn't stop laughing.
You squish your hair.
And because he looked so funny and he's got the shampoo dripping down his face. And even the man in the bed across from us, he couldn't keep from laughing because we were having such a good time washing his hair.
But that was funny. And Sharon did take pictures of it.
But I didn't post them on Facebook, I promise.
But
I've got them.
Those can be posted at my service.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to talk to you about pictures shortly, so maybe maybe we can share a picture with our viewers. We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see.
I won't make any promises. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak with both of you today.
Thank you.
I need an O. It's my blood type.
You gotta step out of the darkness if you wanna see the light. You gotta learn you can't get it wrong if you ever wanna get it right. Let me be your light. lighthouse if you ever lose your roots. Let me be the one to guide you, yeah. Let me shine on you. Be your guide, babe, let me shine on you. I'm your lighthouse, let me shine on you. Come step into my office, I got a couple things to say. You know it's hard to accept love until you give it all away. Tell me all that you're afraid of, what makes you scared in the night, and I'll show you what I'm made of. Stand in front of you and fight. Let me be your lighthouse if you ever lose your route. Let me be the one to guide you, yeah. Let me shine on you. Anything that I could do to help you get a little closer to the truth. Baby, you're a star, keep on shining where you are. I'll be watching from afar till you see it through. Sometimes it's overwhelming to be grown. If I have a little strength that I can loan, I'ma shine on you, baby, till you shining on your own. Let me shine on you. Let me shine on you. Be your guide, babe, let me shine on you.
We are Belly Laughs Naval Academy. Thanks for watching us on Plugged In! Do we have a script board?
It's a teleprompter. Might as well welcome you to... Oh, forgot.
Testing, testing, testing.
Take 5.